So I'm about to give you a bulletproof strategy that's going to help you get into the best shape of your life in 2024. Now, typically with my clients, we're solving for two things. Most people are under-muscled and most people are overweight. And so the way in which we go about this is we solve the overweight problem first, get them lean, then we solve the under-muscled problem next. So building up their muscle mass. For the context of this video, we're just going to be solving that first initial problem. You're overweight or not at a weight that you are enjoying when you look at yourself in the mirror. And so we're going to be stripping off the fat, removing the belly and love handles, and getting you to a stage where you are lean and ready to start building some muscle. Now, over the course of this video, I'm also going to be sharing some of the tools that I use, and any tool that you see that I am using in this video, you will have access to that. Just simply hit the link in the description below. Right, the first thing you need to do, guys, is let's get specific with your goal, all right? I don't want to hear, oh, I want to get into shape. I want to get fit. I want to lose some fat. Let's actually determine where you're at now and where we want to get to. It's going to be very important because that's going to give us a roadmap, but it's also going to tell us what's realistic. If we just start on a weight loss journey with no kind of idea of where we want to go or even where's appropriate, some people sometimes just pick a number out of the air, something that they weighed 10 years ago, and think that that's going to be a good weight for them. And they aggressively go there following some kind of restrictive diet. They get there and then they rebound, or it's just too restrictive and they never get there. We're going to put some guidelines around this whole goal setting process so that it's something that's really effective. So let me just show you exactly how we're going to go through that. So guys, the first thing that I want you to do is access the goal setting calculator. Scroll across to the right, and as you can see, we've got a kind of chart of different body fat percentages. And so I want you to determine where you feel like you are at now in terms of your body fat percentage. So just go between, the two that you feel like you fall between, and then go for the upper end. So let's just say for the moment, typically most of my clients would be between 25 and 30. So we're just going to drop back down to here. You're going to put your current weight in kilograms. So let's say you're 90 kilograms and your body fat percentage, we have determined, let's say it's 28%. Once you've done that, we're going to put in a goal body fat percentage. Now, I want to challenge you. I want you to have belief in yourself that you can get lean and that you can reveal your abdominal muscles and have a six-pack. Okay, that's going to be the objective. And so for that, we want to go between 10 to 12% body fat. Bear in mind, this for some of you is not going to be something that we're going to be maintaining for the rest of our lives. This is just going to give us a good target to get to, and it's going to be a great place for us to bulk from if we are under-muscled, because it means that when we do start to eat more calories and we're training hard, a lot of those calories are going to go towards building muscle, and you're going to be doing so with minimal fat gain. So that's why we're choosing this number. So again, I implore you to be ambitious. Everyone can do this. Set that goal, 10% body fat, and that's what we're going to go for. As you can see, the goal weight is 64.8. This might be a daunting number for some of you. If this is the case, that 64.8 is going to be potentially too light, that just means that you are under-muscled as well. Because what we're doing is we're simply revealing the muscle that you have. Once we've revealed that, we then build it back up. So just remember that this is not the end goal forever, particularly if it sounds like it's a low number. Something else to bear in mind, guys, is if you're a complete beginner to the process, we will be strength training, doing resistance training along the way. Now, I don't like to say that we are aiming for recomposition, but recomposition may well happen if you are someone who's not spent time in the gym. So what does that mean? It means that 64.8 might actually be more, as you might concurrently lose fat and build muscle at the same time. This is something that has been shown in studies, even in advanced people, to be something that does happen, but it's not something that I say aim towards, because it's more useful if that happens as more of a byproduct, and it's very difficult to target some form of body recomposition. So rather than chasing two rabbits, let's just chase one and let's go for that fat loss. Agreed drop per week. We're going to do 1% of your body weight per week. The reason why we're doing 1% is because it's a fairly manageable number for most. It's going to give us a weekly target, and it's not going to be something that requires too much restriction. If we're going for something more aggressive, 1.5% plus per week, this means that we are at risk of losing body tissue that isn't fat. So muscle, tendons, ligaments, etc. We don't want to be breaking down that tissue. We want to preserve that as much as possible, especially your muscle, because that's the thing that we're trying to reveal. That's the thing that ultimately we're going to build. And so we don't want to be at risk at all of losing that. And this is what happens when people go on fad diets. They don't actually pay attention to the amount that they're losing per week. And a lot of people can lose more than 1.5 to even more than 2% of their body weight per week, which means that they are probably losing some form of tissue as well, which means that when they get to a target weight, they're still skinny fat and they're going to find it very hard to manage their weight because their metabolism has slowed down so much. So that's why we're aiming for that 1% of body weight per week. And so you've got your number here and you'll be able to see how many weeks it will take you to hit your target. So for this imaginary person here, this is going to take them 32 weeks. And what I do want you to do is probably add 4 weeks onto that, because you might go on holiday and we're probably going to incorporate diet breaks along the way. There are 3 to 7 days where you just stop tracking. You don't go overboard, but you just stop tracking, maybe bring your calories to maintenance. That's going to make the whole process a lot more manageable. So that alone is something that nobody does. And you're going to be one step ahead in your quest to getting lean and getting into the best shape of your life if you go through that process alone. So what do we need to do next? We need to set our calories, and there's a very, very simple formula for this. We're not going to be using a complicated calorie calculator. We're simply going to do this. Take your body weight in pounds, multiply it by 10. That's going to give us the amount of calories that we want. And then what we want to do is find out the amount of protein, fats and carbs within that amount of calories that we need to be eating to fulfill that amount of calories that we've chosen. So guys, back to the spreadsheet. Second tab along is the nutrition calculator. And let's just put my head there. What we're going to do, you don't actually need to put in gender, age, anything like that. You just need to put your weight in. So 70, I'm going to put mine in, 74-ish at the moment. So this has given me, it's already calculated everything, 1628 calories. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose probably 30% of fats. So in here I write 54. The protein multiplier has already been done. It's taken my weight in kilograms and it's multiplied that by 2 to get a number of protein in grams. And then carbs are basically the rest of the calories. So that's super simple. That's the amount of calories that you should be eating. The most important thing I need to make clear here, this is a starting point. This is not the amount of calories that is scientifically proven to get you to lose 1% of your body weight per week. We just do not know that yet. This is just a starting point. And what we're going to do over the course of your fat loss journey is see how that amount of calories impacts your weight. If it has a positive impact, then we keep it the same. If it's too aggressive, then we increase your calories. If it's not enough and you're not losing on that amount of calories and also the amount of activity that we have lined up for you, then we obviously need to make an adjustment somewhere. And that's something that I will talk to you about later on in the video. Next thing we need to do is turn those calories into food, into some kind of menu. So for that, I'm linking a video below, the core meal matrix, and you're going to use that in order to help you figure out exactly what you should be eating to hit those calories. Now, I already alluded to this, but the next thing that you need to commit to is weighing yourself daily. We need to weigh ourselves daily because your weight will fluctuate daily. And so if you were to just weigh yourself once per week, we do not know if that Friday that you decide to weigh yourself is going to be a day where you have a mad fluctuation, because your weight can fluctuate by 1 to 2% because of changes in water within your body. And so in order to account for those fluctuations, we need to take a weekly average. And so that's why we're weighing ourselves daily. So we're back in the spreadsheet. This is what you need to be doing. Put your daily weight in here, and then the average will populate itself there. And then at the end of week 1, you'll have a total difference. Then we'll go to week 2. You need to do the same again, but the difference this week is you then have a change in average. So what you want to do is you want to look at that figure there, minus 0.59, and you want to go to your goal setting calculator. So you want to be at 0.85. So if I went to this and saw it as minus 0.59, that'll be a case potentially for reducing your calories. And so it's really important again that we're looking at the averages, because as you can see, there's been lots of fluctuations during the week, which is completely normal. The next thing that we need to do is ensure that we are training in the gym, resistance training. I recommend that you do 3 full body resistance training workouts per week, because it's very important that we maintain our muscle mass as much as possible, or in some cases maybe increase our muscle mass. And the way to do that is going to be by challenging and stimulating those muscles through resistance training. In the link below, you will have access to 2 training programs. Get those downloaded, follow along with them. They're 12 weeks, they are free. That's your training sorted. The next thing that you need to commit to is walking. Because you're in a calorie deficit, things are going to slow down. Movements that are out of your control. This is called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, NEAT. And in order to offset that decrease, which is a substantial amount of calories burned, believe it or not, we're going to ensure that we are walking enough. And so your daily step target is going to be 10,000 steps per day. The other thing that you need to do is ensure that you're doing some form of cardio. Why are we doing cardio? Obviously, it's going to help in terms of energy expenditure. But if you are someone who's typically sedentary and overweight, you have an issue with oxidizing fats at the moment. It's very hard for you to oxidize fats. You've not got that capability, and your cardiovascular system just is not as developed as it should be. So what we're going to do is give you 3 sessions of cardio to do per week, 3 times 200 calories. This is going to be something that we do just at the start to build up an aerobic base and to increase your ability to actually oxidize fats. But what I do want to make clear here is just because this is going to help you oxidize/burn fats, that's not going to be the thing that allows you to lose fat. You still need to be in a calorie deficit for that to happen. And that's going to be achieved mainly through your diet. Given that the body is essentially in breakdown mode, we want to ensure that it's recovering as well as possible. Sleeping is going to be something that you need to do to ensure that that process is optimized. Not only that, if you're not getting enough sleep, this can potentially increase your cravings during the day for foods that you may well be having to cut out at the moment in order for you to stay in a calorie deficit. So it's actually got a hunger management element to it as well. So make sure that you are getting enough sleep. I'd say aim for 7 to 8 hours every night. So you've essentially now got a strategy. You've got your target, you've got your calories, you've got your meals set out, your training program for the gym, the amount of steps that you should be doing, and the cardio that you should be doing. So what's the next step? We now need to see how that is all coming together to influence our physique. And so we need to check in with ourselves weekly to see what's going on. So what I want you to do is pick a day. With my clients, that day is Sunday. And on that day, you're going to take photos of the front, back, and side. You're going to take tape measurements, and you're going to look at your average weight. For your own records, you can put your photos in here. So front, side, back. You don't really need to do the left and right, but if you feel inclined to do so, you can. And in terms of measurements, you're going to put in umbilical, so that's around the belly button, hips, left thigh, left arm, right arm, chest. And then once we've got all that data, on a Sunday we can analyze it to see what adjustments we need to make, if any. So let's go through that process together now. So with your spreadsheets and data, we want to see if your weight loss is on target. So for our imaginary person, it was 0.85 per week. Now let's imagine that he's off target. So we're going to say weight loss on target? No. Have circumferences progressed? Inch loss equals fat loss, or in our case, it will be centimeters. And so if the body is shrinking, but your weight hasn't decreased by the target, we're actually on track. And so we don't need to make an adjustment. However, let's assume again that this is no. We then need to look at nutrition. Have we actually been nailing it with our nutrition? Have we been super accurate? Is everything being tracked, pre-tracked, etc.? If the answer is yes, we need to proceed with our line of inquiry. If the answer is no, that's the thing that we need to fix. Make sure that's fixed for next week, and then we can go through this process again. Let's just assume that for the moment, the answer is yes, this guy's been absolutely nailing it. And so we need to figure out what else needs to change. The next thing is activity. Have you been getting your steps in? Have you done your cardio? If you have, then we need to see if we need to make an adjustment. If you haven't, then you obviously need to do that the next week before we make any changes. The next one is how many meals out of them. If you've been eating lots of meals out, it's likely that you're not able to track these as effectively and have control over your nutrition to the degree that we need in order for your physique to change. And so that might be something that we need to minimize. But again, let's just assume that this person's just been cooking every single meal at home. What do we do? The next thing is we just got to be honest with ourselves. Has the tracking been accurate? If you're adding tablespoons of peanut butter rather than grams of peanut butter, then there's going to be inaccuracy. Same with oils, same with fruits. If you're just putting 1 banana rather than the grams of banana, you might be eating more. And so we need to ensure that everything is being tracked to the gram. Again, if this person is tracking to the gram, what do we do? Next thing that we want to look at is, are there any issues with sleep, health, stress, all those kind of things? If that is the case, then we obviously need to fix those first. If everything is normal, again, we need to know what to do. And so that's the point where we're like, okay, everything is absolutely spot on. This means that this person needs to make some form of adjustment to their activity or their calories. So how do we go through that process? The first thing that we can do is make a nutrition adjustment. And so what we can do is reduce calories by 1 to 200. And this will typically be 15 to 25 grams of carbs or 5 to 10 grams of fats, or a combination of the two. The other option that we have is to adjust our activity. So we can increase our cardio over the course of the week by 150 calories, or we can increase our training volume by adding a set to our accessories or maybe to our compound movements. Final adjustment that we can make, and it's also another activity adjustment, is increase your steps by 2,000. Once that adjustment is made, it's very important to take note of the adjustment that was made, and important for you to know what your new protocol is going forwards. And then you just keep on going through that process of committing to your nutrition, committing to your activity, and committing to taking those measurements on a daily and weekly basis and checking in with yourself. If you go through that process, as you can see, it's very meticulous, it's very data driven. It will ensure that you get to your target weight, at which point you're going to be ready to start some form of reverse diet. And if you want to learn more about that process, I recommend that you watch the video that will appear at the end of this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.